Commander Sarah Chun walked through the metal hallways of Harmony Point Station. Her black boots made soft sounds on the floor. She had been on this station for 3 weeks now. 3 long weeks of trying to make peace between 2 alien races who wanted to kill each other. Sarah was tired. She was always tired these days. Being a peacekeeper was hard work. It meant sitting in rooms full of angry aliens and trying to make them talk instead of fight. It meant staying calm when everyone else was screaming. It meant believing that peace was possible even when it seemed impossible. She stopped at a window and looked out at the stars. Space was so quiet and peaceful, not like the meeting rooms where she spent her days. Out there, the stars just shined. They did not argue or fight or threaten each other. They just existed together in the darkness. Sarah was 35 years old. She had been a peacekeeper for 12 years. Before that, she had been a soldier in the Earth Defense Force. She knew how to fight, she knew how to kill. But she chose to make peace instead. That was the human way now. Humans chose peace whenever they could. The door behind her opened. Her assistant, a young man named Tom, walked up to her. "Commander," Tom said. "They are ready for the final meeting." Sarah nodded. She knew this would be the hardest meeting of all. For 3 years, the Zelphic Empire and the Orion Coalition had been fighting over mining rights in the Vega system. Thousands of beings had died in their stupid war, all because both sides wanted the same rocks floating in space. "How do they look?" Sarah asked. "The Coalition delegation seems ready to accept the terms," Tom said. "But the Zelphics are angry. War Prince Korthak has been shouting at his advisors all morning." Sarah was not surprised. Korthak was the worst kind of warrior. He was strong and cruel and thought that violence could solve every problem. He had killed many beings in his life. He enjoyed killing. Sarah had seen his type before. They were dangerous because they never learned when to stop. "What about the terms we worked out?" Sarah asked. "Fair to both sides," Tom said. "The Coalition gets 60% of the mining rights. The Zelphics get 40%. Both sides get to build stations in the system. No military ships allowed except for security." Sarah nodded again. It was a good deal. The Coalition got more because they had found the system first, but the Zelphics got enough to make good money. Both sides could be happy with this deal if they were smart, but Sarah knew that being smart and being happy were not the same thing. Especially for warriors like Korthak. They walked to the main meeting room. It was a big room with a long table in the middle. The walls were white and clean. There were no weapons allowed in this room. That was the rule. This was a place for words, not violence. The Coalition delegation was already sitting on one side of the table. They were different species, but they all looked calm. Their leader was an insect-like being called Ambassador Zek. She had been reasonable during all the talks. She wanted peace. The Zelphic delegation sat on the other side. They all looked like Korthak, big, strong, covered in scales. They had sharp teeth and claws. They were built for war. Korthak sat in the middle of his group. He was bigger than the others. His scales were darker. His eyes were like black stones. Sarah took her seat at the head of the table. This was her place, the human place, in the middle, between the 2 sides, trying to keep them from killing each other. "Welcome, everyone," Sarah said. Her voice was calm and strong. "Today we will finalize the agreement for the Vega system. Both sides have worked hard to reach this point. I believe we can end this conflict today." Ambassador Zek clicked her mandibles together. This was how her species showed agreement. "The Coalition is ready to sign the treaty, Commander Chun. We accept the terms as discussed." All eyes turned to Korthak. The War Prince was silent for a long moment. His black eyes stared at Sarah. She had seen that look before. It was the look of a predator deciding whether to attack. "The terms are not acceptable," Korthak said. His voice was deep and rough. "The Zelphic Empire claims the entire Vega system by right of conquest. We will not accept scraps from our enemies." Sarah kept her voice calm. "War Prince, we have discussed this many times. The Coalition discovered the system first. They have the legal right to the larger share. Your empire will still profit greatly from this agreement. Korthak's claws scraped against the table. Legal right? He snarled. The only right that matters is the right of the strong. We are strong, they are weak. We should take everything. That is not how civilized beings solve problems, Sarah said. War only brings death and suffering. This agreement brings profit and peace to both sides. Korthak stood up suddenly. He was very tall, almost 8 feet. His presence filled the room like a storm cloud. Civilized? He said. You humans talk about civilization. But what do you know of strength? You have never conquered anything. You have never built an empire. You are weak peacekeepers who hide behind words. Sarah did not stand up. She did not raise her voice. She had learned long ago that staying calm was more powerful than shouting. I know enough about strength, War Prince. I know that the strongest beings are those who choose peace when they could choose war. Korthak laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. It was like rocks grinding together. Choose peace? You choose peace because you cannot choose war. Because you are weak. The humans are not weak, Ambassador Zek said. They have kept peace in this galaxy for decades. They have saved millions of lives. By being weak, Korthak repeated. By giving in to everyone. By never fighting for what they want. He turned his black eyes back to Sarah. Tell me, little peacekeeper, what would you do if I rejected your precious agreement? What would you do if I ordered my fleets to take the entire system by force? Sarah looked at him calmly. I would be very sad, she said, because it would mean that more beings would die for nothing, and I would have failed to make peace. Korthak's laugh was louder this time. Sad? You would be sad? He turned to his advisors. Do you hear this? The human would be sad. His advisors made growling sounds that might have been laughter. They thought their war prince was very funny? Yes, Sarah said. I would be sad, because every being who dies in war had a family, had friends, had dreams. War destroys all of that. Peace preserves it. Korthak stopped laughing. His face became serious and dangerous. You think your sadness matters? You think your feelings change anything? He leaned forward over the table. Let me tell you what matters, human. Power matters. Strength matters. The ability to take what you want and keep it. Is that what you took from Commander Hassan? Sarah asked quietly. The room became very quiet. Commander Hassan had been another human peacekeeper. 3 months ago, his ship had been destroyed while trying to deliver medical supplies to a Zelphic colony. Everyone knew that Korthak had ordered the attack. But there was no proof. Korthak's eyes became very cold. Hassan was in the wrong place? At the wrong time. He was delivering medicine to your people, Sarah said, to Zelphic children who were sick. He was spying, Korthak said. All humans are spies. You come to our worlds with your peaceful words and your gifts, but you are really watching us, learning our weaknesses. Sarah shook her head. Commander Hassan was trying to help. Just like I'm trying to help now. Just like every human peacekeeper tries to help. Korthak stood up straighter. His full height was terrifying. Help? He said. You want to help? Then get out of my way. Let the strong take what belongs to them. Stop protecting the weak with your words and treaties. I cannot do that, Sarah said. It is my duty to make peace. It is what I chose to do with my life. Your duty, Korthak repeated. Your choice. He was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. It was not a good smile. It showed all of his sharp teeth. What if I made a different choice? Before anyone could move, Korthak reached under his robes. He pulled out a long, curved blade. It glowed with plasma energy. The weapon was illegal in this room. But Korthak did not care about rules. War Prince, no. Ambassador Zek shouted. Tom started to move towards Sarah, but he was too far away. Sarah looked up at Korthak calmly. Even with death in his hand, she did not show fear. This will not solve anything, she said. Killing me will not give you the Vega system. No, Korthak agreed. But it will send a message. A message that the Zelphic Empire does not bow to weak humans. A message that peacekeepers die when they get in our way. And what message will Earth send in return? Sarah asked. Korthik laughed one last time. Earth? What can Earth do? Send more peacekeepers? Send more diplomats with their sad faces and peaceful words? Sarah looked at him with something that might have been pity. You really do not understand us, do you? I understand that you are about to die, Korthik said. The blade moved faster than anyone could react. It sliced through Sarah's chest in. One smooth motion, she gasped and fell forward onto the table. Her blood was very red against the white surface. The room exploded into chaos. Ambassador Zek was screaming. Tom was shouting into his communicator. The coalition delegates were running for the door. Even some of the Zelfic advisors looked shocked, but Korthik stood calmly over Sarah's body. He was proud of what he had done. Sarah tried to speak. Blood came from her mouth. But she managed to whisper one last thing before she died. Please, choose peace. Then Commander Sarah Chun was gone. The woman who had spent 12 years of her life trying to make the galaxy a better place was dead. Killed by a being who thought that violence was the answer to everything. Korthik cleaned his blade and put it away. Now, he said to the room, let us discuss the real terms for the Vega system. But no one was listening to him anymore. Because in that moment, everything had changed. The galaxy did not know it yet, but they had just made the biggest mistake. In the history of known space, they had killed a human peacekeeper, and now Earth would show them what humans really were when someone crossed the line that should never be crossed. They would learn that humans had been choosing peace not because they were weak, but because they were strong enough to choose peace. But now, peace was no longer an option. The message went out from Harmony Point within minutes. Commander Sarah Chun was dead, murdered while trying to make peace. The galaxy held its breath and waited to see what humanity would do. They would not have to wait long. The news traveled fast, faster than any ship could fly. Commander Sarah Chun was dead, murdered by War Prince Korthik while she tried to make peace. The message reached Earth in 3 hours through the Quantum Communication Network. President Maria Martinez was sleeping when the call came. She had been president of the United Earth government for 6 years. She was a strong woman who had seen many hard things in her life. She had been a soldier before she became a politician. She knew what war looked like. She knew what death looked like. But when her aide woke her up with the news, President Martinez felt something break inside her chest. Sarah Chun had been her friend. They had served together in the Defense Force 20 years ago. Sarah had saved her life during the Mars colony crisis. Now Sarah was gone. Confirm the report? President Martinez said. Her voice was calm, but her hands were shaking. Already confirmed, Madam President, the aide said. We have video from the meeting room. We have witness statements. War Prince Korthik killed Commander Chun with a plasma blade. He did it in front of everyone. President Martinez sat up in her bed. She felt very cold. Call an emergency session of the High Council. Contact every world leader, every colony governor, every corporate head. I want them all on the line in 2 hours. Madam President, it is 3 a.m. Some of them will be sleeping. Then wake them up, President Martinez said. Her voice was like ice. Tell them that everything has changed. Tell them that the time for sleep is over. The aide nodded and ran from the room. President Martinez got dressed slowly. She put on her black suit, the same suit she wore for funerals, because today she was going to bury the old way of doing things. 2 hours later, the High Council chamber was full. Not physically full, because the representatives were scattered across dozens of worlds, but their holographic images filled every seat. 12 billion people were represented in this room. Every human settlement, every corporation, every military unit, all of them were here. President Martinez walked to the podium. She looked at the faces of humanity's leaders. Some were angry, some were sad, some were scared, but all of them were waiting for her to speak. My fellow humans, she began. 3 hours ago, Commander Sarah Chun was murdered while performing her duties as a peacekeeper. She was killed by War Prince Korthik of the Zelfic Empire. She was killed for trying to make peace. The chamber was silent. President Martinez. had never seen it so quiet. Usually these meetings were full of arguments and debates. Today, everyone just listened. For 300 years, President Martinez continued, we have chosen peace. We have sent our best people to the stars to help other species resolve their conflicts. We have bled for their wars. We have died for their peace. We have asked for nothing in return except respect for those who serve. She paused and looked around the room. That respect has been violated. The line has been crossed. The choice has been made for us. Governor Chen of the Mars colony raised his hand. He was Sarah's uncle. His eyes were red from crying. What are you proposing, Madam President? President Martinez took a deep breath. I am proposing that we activate the final conflict protocol. The chamber exploded into noise. Representatives started talking all at once. Some were shocked. Some were scared. Some were angry. The final conflict protocol had been written 200 years ago, but it had never been used. Many people thought it was just a theory, a plan that would never be needed. Silence. President Martinez shouted. The chamber became quiet again. I know what I am asking. I know what this means. But they have killed one of our peacekeepers. They have spat on everything we stand for. They have shown us that they do not understand what we really are. Admiral Zhang of the Seoul Defense Fleet stood up. He was an old man with gray hair and hard eyes. Madam President, are you certain? Once we activate the protocol, there is no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again. The galaxy has already chosen how they see us, President. Martinez said, they see us as weak. They see us as easy to kill. They think they can murder our people without consequences. Her voice became harder. It is time to show them how wrong they are. Corporate Representative Wilson from the Trade Federation spoke up. What about our business relationships? Our trade agreements? We have spent centuries building economic partnerships with alien species. The protocol will destroy all of that. President. Martinez looked at him coldly. Money does not matter when our people are being murdered. Profit does not matter when our values are being attacked. Sarah Chun was worth more than all the trade deals in the galaxy. Prime Minister Jackson of the European Federation nodded. I agree with the President, but we need to be sure. We need to vote. This decision must be unanimous. Then let us vote, President Martinez said. All in favor of activating the final conflict protocol, raise your hands. The first hand that went up belonged to Governor Chun, then Admiral Zhang, then Prime Minister Jackson. One by one, every representative in the chamber raised their hand. Even Corporate Representative Wilson raised his hand, though he looked scared when he did it. 12 billion votes. All in favor, no one opposed. For the first time in human history, every human was in complete agreement about something. The vote is unanimous, President Martinez announced. The final conflict protocol is now active. Admiral Zhang, you have command of all human military forces. Do what needs to be done, Admiral Zhang saluted. It will be done, Madam President. They will learn what it means to kill a human peacekeeper. The meeting ended, but no one left. They all knew that history was being made, that this moment would be remembered forever. The moment when humanity stopped pretending to be weak. Admiral Zhang went straight to his command center in Luna. The base was hidden on the dark side of Earth's moon. From the outside, it looked like a small research station. But inside, it was the nerve center of humanity's real military power. Activate all hidden shipyards, Admiral Zhang ordered. Send the awakening signal to all sleeper assets. Begin full military production. Contact all merchant marine captains and tell them to drop their covers. His staff moved quickly. They had been preparing for this moment for their entire careers. Some of them had never thought it would actually happen. But they were ready. Across the solar system, things began to change. The small shipyard near Jupiter suddenly expanded. Hidden sections opened up. Automated factories that had been disguised as asteroid mining operations revealed their true purpose. They began building warships at an incredible rate. The Merchant. Ships that traveled between human colonies received new orders. Their cargo holds open to reveal weapons and armor. Their peaceful crews put on military uniforms. Their civilian captains became naval officers. In minutes, thousands of trading vessels became warships. The corporate security forces that protected human businesses throughout the galaxy received the same signal. They dropped their corporate logos and put on military insignia. Private armies became official military units. Security guards became soldiers. On Earth itself, the big corporations opened their secret facilities. Weapons factories that had been disguised as civilian manufacturers began working at full capacity. Research labs revealed the military technology they had been developing. In secret, everything was connected. Everything was part of the plan. The alien governments noticed the changes within hours. Their spy networks started sending reports about unusual human activity. Ships were moving, factories were working. Communications were increasing. The hegemony of Scales was the first to send a message. Their ambassador contacted President Martinez. "Directly, President Martinez," the scaly alien said on the video screen. "We are concerned about the increased military activity in human space. Are you planning some kind of operation?" President Martinez looked at the ambassador calmly. "We are responding to an act of terrorism. One of our peacekeepers was murdered by the Zelphic Empire. We are taking appropriate action. Surely you do not mean to go to war over one death?" the ambassador asked. "The Zelphic Empire is very powerful. They have one of the largest militaries in the galaxy. A war would be very costly." "Yes," President Martinez agreed. "It will be very costly for them." The ambassador looked confused. "President Martinez, with respect, humanity has never shown any significant military capability. Your defense fleet is small. Your colonies are lightly defended? How do you expect to fight the Zelphic Empire?" President Martinez smiled, but was not a happy smile. "Ambassador, you have been watching us for 300 years. You think you know what we are capable of, but you have only seen what we wanted you to see." "What do you mean?" "I mean that we have been preparing for this day since we first left Earth. We hoped it would never come. We did everything we could to avoid it. But some lines cannot be crossed. Some actions cannot be forgiven." The ambassador was becoming nervous. "President Martinez, please reconsider. Start a dialogue with the Zelphic Empire. Use diplomacy. Use the methods that have worked before." "Diplomacy is for people who respect diplomats," President Martinez said. "The Zelphics have shown that they do not respect our diplomats. They killed one, so now they will deal with something else." "What else?" President Martinez looked directly into the camera. "They will deal with us as we really are, not as peacekeepers, not as diplomats, not as traitors. They will deal with us as the species that conquered its own world, reached for the stars, and built an empire while pretending to be merchants." The connection ended. The ambassador sat in his office staring at the blank screen. He immediately called his government and told them to prepare for something terrible. Other alien governments received similar warnings. The Crystal Communes contacted their military advisors. The Orion Coalition began moving their fleets to defensive positions. The trade syndicates started calculating the economic impact of a human war. None of them understood what was really coming. In space, the transformation continued. Human ships that had been scattered across the galaxy began moving toward assembly points. Mining vessels revealed themselves to be military transports. Research ships opened weapon ports that no one knew existed. Tourist liners deployed fighter squadrons. Meryl Zhang watched the reports coming in from across human space. Everything was going according to plan. The plan that had been written 200 years ago by humans who understood that peace was only possible when backed by overwhelming strength. Status report, Admiral Zhang requested. "Sol Defense Fleet is at full readiness," his aide reported. "Hidden assets are online. Military production is at maximum capacity. All civilian ships have been activated. Colonial militias are mobilizing. Numbers? Current fleet strength is 200,000 vessels and climbing. We expect to reach maximum deployment within 72 hours. Admiral Zhang nodded. The alien governments thought humanity had a few hundred ships. They were about to learn that humanity had been building ships in secret for 3 centuries. Ships that were disguised as civilian vessels, ships that were hidden in asteroid belts, ships that were buried in moons. Send a message to War Prince. Korthik, Admiral Zhang ordered. Tell him that the Terran Defense Fleet wants to discuss the murder of Commander Chun. Tell him to meet us at the edge of the Vega system in 24 hours. What if he refuses? Admiral Zhang's smile was cold and hard. Then we will discuss it with him anyway. The message was sent. War Prince Korthik received it while he was celebrating his victory over the weak human. He was drunk on Zelphic war wine and surrounded by his officers. They were all laughing about how easy it had been to kill the Peacekeeper when Korthik read the message. He laughed even harder. The humans want to discuss the death of their precious Peacekeeper. They want to meet us in space. His officers laughed with him. What will they bring? One asked. A few patrol ships? Some angry diplomats? It does not matter, Korthik said. Whatever they bring, we will destroy it. Just like I destroyed their Peacekeeper. The humans need to learn their place in this galaxy. He sent back a reply. I will be there. Bring whatever ships you want. I will add them to my collection of destroyed enemies. Admiral Zhang read the reply and showed it to his staff. He thinks this is a joke, the Admiral said. He thinks we are bringing a few patrol ships to yell at him. Should we tell him the truth? His aide asked. No, Admiral Zhang said. Let him find out for himself. Let him see what humanity really looks like when we stop pretending to be weak. The next 24 hours were the busiest in human history. Ships moved from every corner of human space toward the Vega system. The largest military mobilization in galactic history was happening, and most of the galaxy did not even know it. War Prince Korthik assembled his own fleet, 50,000 Zelphic warships, the largest force his empire had ever deployed. He was confident that it would be enough to crush whatever pathetic force the humans could gather. He had no idea that he was about to face something that would change the galaxy forever. The awakening was complete. Humanity had shown its true face, and that face was not the face of peaceful merchants and gentle diplomats. It was the face of a species that had chosen to be peaceful, but had never forgotten how to be something else. Something much more dangerous. War Prince Korthik stood on the bridge of his flagship, the World Ender. It was the biggest ship in the Zelphic fleet. It was 3 miles long and covered in weapons. The ship had destroyed over 100 worlds in its long career. Korthik was proud of it. Around him, 50,000 Zelphic warships moved in perfect formation. This was the grand fleet of the Zelphic Empire. It had never been defeated. It had never even been seriously challenged. Every enemy that faced it had either surrendered or been destroyed. Are the humans here yet? Korthik asked his tactical officer. No, War Prince. Our sensors show empty space at the meeting point, Korthik laughed. Maybe they changed their minds. Maybe they realized how stupid it would be to face us. His bridge crew laughed with him. They were all warriors. They had all killed many enemies. The idea of fighting weak humans was amusing to them. It would be like stepping on insects. Wait, the sensor officer said. I am detecting something. What is it? Korthik demanded. Ships, War Prince, many ships. They are coming out of hyperspace. Korthik walked to the main viewing screen. Show me these human ships. I want to see what pathetic force they have brought. The screen lit up with images of space near the Vega system. At first, Korthik saw nothing. Then, one by one, ships began to appear. Human ships dropping out of hyperspace and taking position. How many? Korthik asked. 50 ships, War Prince. No, wait. 100? Still counting? Korthik nodded. 100 ships was more than he expected, but still nothing compared to his 50,000. The humans were braver than he thought, but still very stupid. 500 ships now, War Prince. Korthik frowned. 500 was getting closer to a real force, but still not enough to threaten his grand fleet. 1,000 ships, War Prince. Now Korthik was paying attention. 1,000 ships was a serious force. Where had the humans been hiding so many ships? 2,000 ships. 5,000 ships. 10,000 ships. Korthek felt something cold. In his stomach, this was not possible. The humans did not have 10,000 ships. Their entire fleet was supposed to be a few hundred patrol vessels and merchant ships. 20,000 ships, War Prince. The bridge became very quiet. Even the warriors were starting to look worried. 20,000 ships was almost half the size of the Grand Fleet. 50,000 ships, War Prince. Korthek stared at the screen. 50,000 human ships now faced his 50,000 Zelphic ships. This was impossible. Where had these ships come from? 100,000 ships, War Prince. The sensor officer's voice was shaking now. Everyone on the bridge was staring at the numbers in disbelief. 150,000 ships. 200,000 ships, War Prince. Stop counting, Korthek said quietly. His voice was not loud and confident anymore. For the first time in his life, War Prince Korthek was afraid. On the screen, the human fleet stretched as far as the sensors could see. 200,000. Ships in perfect formation. They did not look like the small patrol ships that everyone expected. They looked like warships. Real warships, big warships. This is impossible, Korthek whispered. The humans are traitors and diplomats. They do not have a military like this. His tactical officer was studying the sensor readings with wide eyes. War Prince, these ships are not showing up in our databases. We have never seen designs like this before. What do you mean? I mean, these are not the civilian ships we have been tracking for centuries. These are military vessels, advanced military vessels, and some of them are bigger than anything in our fleet. Korthek felt his world turning upside down. Everything he thought he knew about humans was wrong. Everything everyone thought they knew about humans was wrong. A communication signal came from the human fleet. Korthek hesitated, then accepted. A woman appeared on the screen. She was wearing a crisp military uniform with the insignia of an admiral. Her hair was gray and her eyes were hard. This was not a soft diplomat or a peaceful trader. This was a warrior. I am Admiral Zhang of the Terran Defense Fleet, the woman said. Her voice was calm and cold. You are War Prince Korthek of the Zelphic Empire. I am, Korthek said. He tried to make his voice sound strong, but it came out weaker than he wanted. 3 days ago, you murdered Commander Sarah Chun during a peace negotiation. She was a human peacekeeper performing her lawful duties. Korthek straightened up. Maybe he could still salvage this situation. She was interfering with Zelphic business. I had every right to— You had no right, Admiral Zhang interrupted. You killed an unarmed diplomat while she was trying to make peace. This is an act of war against humanity. Korthek looked at the massive human fleet on his screens. I see you have brought many ships, Admiral. More than anyone expected. But 50,000 against 200,000 is still good odds for us. Zelphic warriors are worth 4 humans each. Admiral Zhang smiled. It was not a nice smile. War Prince. You still do not understand. This is not a battle. This is an execution. What do you mean? I mean that you have 15 minutes to surrender yourself for trial. If you do not surrender, we will destroy every ship in your fleet. Korthek laughed, but it sounded forced. You would need to catch us first. The Grand Fleet does not surrender. We will fight you, and we will win. You will try to fight us, Admiral Zhang agreed, but you will not win. You see, War Prince, you have made a fundamental error in judgment. What error? You thought we were weak because we chose peace. You thought we had no military because we preferred diplomacy. You thought you could kill our people without consequences because we seemed gentle and civilized. Admiral Zhang's expression became very serious. Let me explain something to you about humans, War Prince. We did not choose peace because we are weak. We chose peace because we are strong enough to choose peace. We did not build a small military because we cannot build a large one. We built a large military and disguised it as a small one. Korthek felt the cold in his stomach getting worse. That is impossible. We have been watching you for centuries. Yes, you have been watching us. And we have been letting you watch exactly what we wanted you to see. Merchant ships that were really warships. Mining operations that were really shipyards. Corporate security that was really military forces. For 300 years, we have been preparing for the day when someone would cross the line that should never be crossed. Admiral Zhang paused and looked directly at Korthek through the screen. You crossed that line when you killed Commander Chun. This is a trick, Korthek said. You are trying to scare me with fake ships and false numbers. Your sensors are telling you the truth, War Prince. 200,000 human warships are facing you right now, and more are coming. We have mobilized our entire military for this operation. Korthek checked his tactical displays again. The numbers had not changed. 200,000 enemy ships. All of them were real. All of them were pointing weapons at his fleet. What do you want? Korthek asked. I want you to surrender for trial. I want the Zelthic Empire to pay reparations for the murder of Commander Chun. I want formal apologies and guarantees that this will never happen again. And if I refuse? Admiral Zhang's smile became colder. Then I will demonstrate. What happens when someone kills a human peacekeeper? Korthek looked around his bridge. His officers were all staring at him. They were waiting for his decision. He was War Prince Korthek. He had never surrendered to anyone. He had never backed down from a fight, but he had also never faced odds like this. 4-1 against him. And these were not the weak humans he had expected. These were clearly professional military forces. I need time to consider your offer, Korthek said. You have 14 minutes left, Admiral Zhang replied. Use them wisely. The communication ended. Korthek turned to his officers. What are your recommendations? His tactical officer spoke first. War Prince, our odds are very bad. Even if we fight perfectly, we will lose most of our fleet. Maybe all of it. But we are Zelthic warriors, his weapons officer said. We do not surrender. Better to die fighting than to live in shame. What about our families? Another officer asked. What about our worlds? If we all die here, who will protect them? Korthek was quiet for a long moment. He had led his people into many battles. He had always won, but this time was different. This time he had made a terrible mistake. He thought about the human peacekeeper he had killed. She had been trying to help. She had been unarmed. She had died asking for peace. And he had killed her because he thought humans were weak. Now he knew the truth. Humans were not weak. They had just been choosing to appear weak. They had been choosing peace over war. And when someone forced them to choose war instead, they were very good at it. Open a channel to Admiral Zhang, Korthek said finally. War Prince? His tactical officer asked. Open the channel. Admiral Zhang appeared on the screen again. Have you made your decision, War Prince? Korthek straightened his shoulders. He was still a warrior, even if he was a defeated one. I have a counter-proposal, Admiral. I am listening. Release my fleet? They are good soldiers who were following my orders. I will surrender myself for trial. I will take full responsibility for the death of Commander Chun. Admiral Zhang considered this. And the reparations, the apologies, the guarantees? I cannot speak for my government, but I can give you something else. What? Korthek took a deep breath. I can give you the truth. I can tell the galaxy what really happened. Here, I can tell them that I was wrong about humans. That everyone has been wrong about humans. Admiral Zhang nodded slowly. That is acceptable. But there is one more condition. What condition? Your empire will withdraw all military forces from the Vega system immediately. The mining rights will be distributed exactly as commander. Chun negotiated. Her final agreement will be honored. Korthek wanted to argue. But he looked at the 200,000 human ships surrounding his fleet and knew he had no choice. Agreed. Then power down your weapons and prepare to be taken into custody. Your fleet will be escorted out of this system and released at the border. Korthek turned to his officers. You heard the Admiral. Power down all weapons. Prepare for escort to the border. Prince, his tactical officer said quietly. What will happen to you? Korthek shrugged. I will face human justice. It is better than I deserve. He paused. Send a message to the Empire. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that the humans are not what we thought they were. Tell them to be very careful how they treat human peacekeepers in the future. The Zelthic ships powered down their weapons. The human fleet moved into escort positions. War Prince Korthak was taken aboard a human ship to await trial. As his flagship was led away, Korthak looked back at the human fleet. 200,000 warships that had appeared out of nowhere. A military force that had been hidden for centuries. A species that had chosen to appear weak while being incredibly strong. He had learned too late that killing a human peacekeeper was the worst mistake anyone could make. The humans had spent 300 years trying to keep peace in the galaxy. They had died for other species' conflicts. They had asked for nothing except respect for their people. And when that respect was violated, they had shown their true nature. Not as weak peacekeepers, but as the most dangerous military force in known space. The news of the confrontation spread across the galaxy within hours. The Zelthic Grand Fleet, the most powerful military force in their region of space, had surrendered without firing a shot. They had been faced by a human fleet 4 times their size. Every government in the galaxy was asking the same question. Where had these human ships come from? The answer was simple, but terrifying. They had always been there, hidden in plain sight, disguised as merchant vessels and mining ships and corporate security, waiting for the day when someone would cross the line that should never be crossed. That day had come, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Admiral Zhang stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the Zelthic fleet disappear into hyperspace. Her aide approached her. "Admiral, what are your orders now?" Admiral Zhang was quiet for a moment. "Send a message to all governments in the galaxy. Tell them that humanity is no longer content to be just peacekeepers and diplomats. Tell them that we are taking a more active role in galactic affairs." "What kind of active role?" Admiral Zhang smiled. It was the same cold smile she had shown Korthak. "The kind that ensures no one ever kills another human peacekeeper." The message was sent. The galaxy received it with fear and confusion. Everything they thought they knew about humanity had been proven wrong in a single day. The age of human weakness was over. The age of human strength had begun. And it had begun with the execution of War Prince Korthak's pride and the demonstration. That peace was only possible when backed by overwhelming force. Commander Sarah Chun had died for peace. Now her death would ensure that peace was stronger than ever before. Because the galaxy had finally learned what humanity really was when someone crossed the line that should never be crossed. The trial of War Prince Korthak lasted 3 days. It was held on Earth in the International Court of Justice. Representatives from every major government in the galaxy were invited to attend. Most of them came. They wanted to see what human justice looked like. Korthak sat in the defendant's chair wearing simple gray clothes. No armor, no weapons, no symbols of his rank. Just a defeated warrior facing the consequences of his actions. He had agreed to tell the truth about everything. It was the only way to save his people from the human fleet. The prosecutor was a human woman named Janet Torres. She had been a peacekeeper herself before becoming a lawyer. She knew what it meant to risk your life for peace. She knew what Sarah Chun had died for. "War Prince Korthak," Torres said, "you have admitted to killing Commander Sarah Chun during a peace negotiation. Do you understand what you have done?" Korthak looked at her with tired eyes. "I understand now. I killed a good person who was trying to help. I killed her because I thought humans were weak." "I was wrong. You were more than wrong," Torres said. "You committed an act of war against humanity. You violated every law of civilized conduct. You murdered an unarmed diplomat." "Yes," Korthak said simply, "I did all of those things." The courtroom was full of alien diplomats and human officials. They all watched as the most feared warrior in Zelthic space admitted his guilt. Some of them looked satisfied. Others looked scared. All of them understood that they were witnessing history. Judge Harrison was an elderly human man who had served as a peacekeeper for 30 years before becoming a judge. He had known Sarah Chun personally. His voice was calm but firm. "War Prince Korthik, you have pleaded guilty to the murder of Commander Chun and to acts of war against humanity. Before I pass sentence, do you have anything to say for yourself? Korthik stood up slowly. He looked around the courtroom at all the faces watching him, then he spoke in a clear voice. I have been a warrior all my life. I believe that strength was the only thing that mattered. I believe that the weak deserve to be conquered by the strong. I believe that humans were weak because they chose peace over war. He paused and looked directly at Judge Harrison. I was wrong about everything. Humans are not weak. They are the strongest species I have ever encountered. They choose peace not because they cannot make war, but because they are strong enough to choose peace. Korthik's voice became stronger. I killed Commander Chun because I thought it would make me look powerful. Instead, it showed everyone how foolish I was. She died asking for peace. I live knowing that I am the one who destroyed peace. The courtroom was completely silent. Even the alien diplomats seemed moved by Korthik's words. I accept whatever punishment you give me, Korthik continued. But I ask one thing, let my punishment be a message to the galaxy. Let everyone know that killing human peacekeepers is the worst mistake anyone can make. Not because humans are cruel, but because humans are just... Judge Harrison nodded slowly. War Prince Korthik, you are sentenced to life imprisonment. You will serve your sentence on a human penal colony where you will work to help other beings resolve their conflicts peacefully. Perhaps in time, you will learn what Commander Chun died trying to teach you. Korthik bowed his head. Thank you, Your Honor. I will try to be worthy of this lesson. As Korthik was led away, the alien diplomats in the courtroom began talking, quietly among themselves. They had expected the humans to execute Korthik or torture him. Instead, they had given him a chance to redeem himself. Even their justice was peaceful. But outside the courtroom, other things were happening. Things that were much less peaceful. Admiral Zhang stood in the command center of Luna Base, watching reports from across the galaxy. The human fleet had not returned home after Korthik's surrender. Instead, it had split into smaller groups and visited every Zelphic world. Status report, Admiral Zhang requested. All Zelphic military installations have been destroyed, her aide reported. No casualties among civilian populations. All government buildings have been leveled. All symbols of the Zelphic Empire have been removed. What about resistance? Minimal. Most Zelphic forces surrendered as soon as our ships arrived. Word of what happened to the Grand Fleet spread quickly. Admiral Zhang nodded. The Zelphic Empire had ceased to exist in 72 hours. Not because the humans had killed anyone, but because they had removed every trace of the Empire's power structure. The Zelphic people were still alive and free, but their government was gone. Any word from other governments? Many messages, Admiral. The hegemony of Scales wants to open negotiations. The Crystal Communes are requesting a peace conference. The Trade Syndicate is asking about new economic agreements. Admiral Zhang smiled coldly. I am sure they are all very interested in talking to us now. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, President Martinez was meeting with her cabinet. They were discussing the next phase of humanity's plan. The Zelphic Empire is finished, Secretary of Defense Williams reported. Their military is destroyed, their government is gone, their colonies are independent. It took us 3 days to completely dismantle an empire that ruled 100 worlds for 1,000 years. Good, President Martinez said. What about the other powers? They are all requesting meetings. Everyone wants to talk to us now that they know what our military can do. Secretary of State Johnson looked worried. Madam President, are we sure about the next phase? Once we make this announcement, there will be no going back. We will be committing humanity to a completely different role in galactic affairs. President Martinez thought about Sarah Chun, about all the human peacekeepers who had died trying to make the galaxy a better place. About all the wars that could have been prevented if people had just listened to reason. We tried doing things the gentle way for 300 years, she said. We sent peacekeepers and diplomats and healers. We asked Nellesley for people to stop killing each other. And what did it get us? Our people murdered while trying to help. She stood up and walked to the window that looked out over Earth. It is time for humanity to stop asking nicely. It is time for us to make peace happen whether people want it or not. The announcement came 24 hours later. President Martinez spoke to the galaxy from the rebuilt Harmony Point station where Sarah Chun had died. The station had been turned into a memorial and a symbol of human resolve. People of the galaxy, President Martinez began. 5 days ago, War Prince Korthek murdered Commander Sarah Chun while she was trying to make peace. This act of violence showed us that our old way of doing things was not working. She paused and looked directly into the camera. For 300 years, we have tried to help you solve your problems through diplomacy and negotiation. We have sent you our best people to serve as peacekeepers and mediators. Many of them have died in your service. The president's voice became harder. We are done asking for your cooperation. We are done hoping that you will choose peace on your own. From today forward, humanity will take a more direct role in maintaining galactic peace. The announcement that followed shocked every government in known space. Every interstellar government will establish a Department of Human Relations within 30 days. This department will be staffed by your most capable diplomats and will work directly with human peacekeepers to resolve conflicts before they become wars, President Martinez continued. Every territorial dispute, every trade disagreement, every diplomatic crisis will be mediated by human personnel. Any government that refuses this arrangement will find itself facing the same fate as the Zelthic Empire. The galaxy held its breath as the president delivered the final part of her ultimatum. Any act of violence against human peacekeepers, diplomats, or civilians will result in immediate military response. We will not negotiate about this. We will not give warnings about this. We will simply act. She leaned forward slightly. We do not want to rule you. We do not want your territory or your resources. We want peace. And we will have peace whether you choose to give it to us or we have to take it from you. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, emergency meetings were called. Military advisors were consulted. Economic experts calculated the cost of resistance. Everyone came to the same conclusion. Humanity had become too powerful to oppose. The hegemony of scales was the first to accept the terms. Their ambassador sent a message within hours of the announcement. The hegemony accepts human oversight of our conflicts. We will establish the required department immediately. We look forward to working with human peacekeepers to maintain stability in our region. The Crystal Communes followed 6 hours later. Then the Trade Syndicate. Then the Orion Coalition. One by one, every major power in the galaxy accepted humanity's ultimatum. A few smaller governments tried to resist. The Pirate Federation declared that they would never bow to human rule. The warrior clans of Altair announced that they would fight any human who tried to interfere with their affairs. These declarations lasted exactly as long as it took human fleets to arrive at their homeworlds. The pirates found their bases destroyed and their ships disabled. The warrior clans discovered that their entire fleet had been captured while they were still deciding whether to fight. Within 2 weeks, every government in the galaxy had established a Department of Human Relations. Human peacekeepers were stationed on every major world. Trade disputes were resolved in days instead of years. Territorial conflicts ended before they could become wars. Some species complained that this was human tyranny. Others said it was human salvation. Most just accepted it as the new reality. Humanity had shown what happened when you killed their peacekeepers. No one wanted to test what would happen if you disobeyed their peace. The galaxy was changing. Wars that had lasted for centuries suddenly ended. Trade routes that had been closed by conflict reopened. Scientific cooperation that had been impossible due to political tensions became routine. It was not the peace that Sarah Chun had dreamed of. It was not the gentle diplomacy that humanity had once preferred, but it was peace nonetheless. Peace, enforced by the overwhelming strength of a species that had chosen to use its power to protect the weak instead of conquering them. In his prison cell on Redemption Colony, War Prince Korthak watched the news reports about the transformation of the galaxy. He saw wars ending and peace spreading. He saw human peacekeepers working alongside alien diplomats to solve problems. That had seemed impossible before. His guard, a human woman named Lisa, brought him his evening meal. She was kind to him, despite what he had done. She treated him like a person who could change, not like a monster who deserved to suffer. "It is working," Korthek said to her one evening. "The peace your people wanted, it is actually working," Lisa nodded. "Commander Chung would be happy to see it. This is what she died for." Korthek was quiet for a moment. "I wonder if she would. Forgive me. If she knew that her death led to peace across the galaxy, I think she would," Lisa said gently. "Commander Chian believed that every being could choose to be better, even you." Korthek looked out the window of his cell at the stars. Somewhere out there, human peacekeepers were doing the work that Sarah Chun had died trying to do. They were making peace happen, one conflict at a time. He had learned too late what humanity really was. They were not weak beings who could be killed without consequence. They were the galaxy's guardians, whether the galaxy wanted guardians or not, and they had chosen to be guardians not through cruelty or conquest, but through justice and overwhelming strength in service of peace. The galaxy had been given a choice: accept human guidance toward lasting peace or face the consequences of rejecting it. Most had chosen wisely. Those who had not learned quickly that humanity's patience had limits, but their commitment to peace did not. Commander Sarah Chun had died asking for peace. Now finally her voice was being heard across the stars. 6 months had passed since War Prince Korthek killed Commander Sarah Chun. 6 months since humanity showed the galaxy what they really were. 6 months since everything changed. Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez walked through the corridors of Meridian Station, a remote outpost in the Tau Ceti system. She was 28 years old and had been a peacekeeper for only 2 years. This was her first solo assignment. She was nervous but excited. Emma carried herself the same way Sarah Chun had. Quietly confident, calm under pressure. Ready to help anyone who needed it. She wore the same uniform that Sarah had worn. The same badge that meant she spoke for humanity and for peace. The station was buzzing with activity. 2 alien species were meeting here to discuss a territorial dispute. The Klaxon Republic and the Methane Collective had been arguing about gas mining rights in a nearby nebula for 50 years. Before the change, this argument might have become a war. Now it would be resolved in a few days. Emma entered the meeting room where the 2 delegations were waiting. The Klaxons looked like large insects with bright green shells. The Methane Collective members were gaseous beings who lived in environmental suits. Both groups stood when she entered the room. "Good morning," Emma said politely. "I am Lieutenant Rodriguez of the Human Peacekeeping Corps. I am here to help you resolve your dispute over the Spiral Nebula mining rights." Ambassador Zix of the Klaxons bowed respectfully. "We are honored by your presence, Lieutenant. We have prepared our position papers as requested." Delegate Vapor 9 of the Methane Collective also showed respect. "We too are ready to present our case." "We hope for a fair resolution," Emma smiled. This was so different from the old days. Before the change, these 2 species might have spent months or years arguing. They might have brought weapons to the meeting. They might have threatened each other with violence. Now they were polite and respectful. Not because they were afraid of Emma personally, but because they were afraid of what humanity would do if they harmed her. Everyone in the galaxy knew what had happened to the Zelthic Empire. "Excellent," Emma said. "Let us begin by reviewing the facts of the case." The negotiations went smoothly. The Klaxons presented their claim to the nebula based on historical use. The Methane Collective explained their need for the rare gases found there. Both sides listened to each other without interruption. Both sides were reasonable. Emma guided the discussion carefully. She asked good questions. She helped each side understand the other's position. She suggested compromises that might work for everyone. By the end of the day, they had reached an agreement. The Klaxons would get mining rights to the outer regions of the nebula. The Methane Collective would get the inner regions where the rarest gases were found. Both sides would share the costs of building safety stations throughout the area. This is acceptable to the Klaxon Republic, Ambassador Zix announced. The Methane Collective agrees, Delegate Vapor 9 confirmed. Emma felt a warm feeling in her chest. This was why she had become a peacekeeper. This was what Sarah Chun had died for. Two species that had been enemies for 50 years were now partners. They would work together instead of fighting each other. Thank you both for your cooperation, Emma said. The agreement will be filed with the Galactic Peacekeeping Authority. Human monitors will oversee the implementation to ensure both sides are satisfied. After the delegations left, Emma sat alone in the meeting room. She thought about Commander Chun, the woman she had never met but whose sacrifice had made this moment possible. Sarah had died trying to make peace in a galaxy that did not want peace. Now Emma was making peace in a galaxy that had no choice but to want it. Her communicator beeped. A message from her supervisor, Captain Martinez, was waiting. Excellent. Work on the Klaxon methane dispute, the message said. You are requested for immediate assignment to the Vega system. The memorial service for Commander Chun is being held at the rebuilt Harmony Point. Your presence is requested as a representative of the new generation of peacekeepers. Emma felt honored but also nervous. The Vega system was where everything had started, where Sarah Chun had died, where humanity had shown its true power. It was the most important place in the galaxy now. She packed her few belongings and took a transport ship to the Vega system. The journey took 3 days. During the trip, she read about Sarah Chun's life and career. She learned about all the conflicts Sarah had resolved, all the lives she had saved, all the peace she had made. Sarah had been a soldier before she became a peacekeeper. She had known how to fight, but she had chosen to make peace instead. That choice had defined her entire career. That choice had ultimately saved the galaxy. When Emma arrived at Harmony Point, she was amazed by what she saw. The station had been completely rebuilt. It was bigger and more beautiful than before, but more importantly, it had become a symbol of what happened when someone chose violence over peace. The memorial service was held in the main hall. Representatives from every major government in the galaxy were there. Human peacekeepers from across known space had come to honor their fallen colleague. Even some former enemies, like reformed Zelphic officers, were in attendance. President Martinez gave the main speech. She stood at a podium beneath a large statue of Sarah Chun. The statue showed Sarah with her arms extended, as if she was welcoming everyone to the peace table. 6 months ago, President Martinez began, Commander Sarah Chun died in this place. She died doing what she loved most, trying to make peace between beings who wanted to fight. The hall was completely silent. Everyone was listening. Her death could have been meaningless, the president continued. It could have been just another tragedy in a galaxy full of violence. But we chose to give her death meaning. We chose to make sure that no other peacekeeper would die the way she did. President Martinez looked around the hall at all the faces watching her. Humans and aliens together, listening to the same words, sharing the same moment. Some of you think that humanity has become too controlling. Some of you think we have taken too much power for ourselves. Some of you think we have imposed our will on the galaxy through force. She paused and smiled sadly. You are right. We have done all of those things, but we did them for a reason. We did them because the alternative was to let the violence continue. We did them because someone had to take responsibility for peace. The president's voice became stronger. Sarah Chun believed that every being could choose to be better. She believed that peace was possible if people just tried hard enough. She died believing those things. We honor her memory by making those beliefs come true. After the ceremony, Emma walked through the rebuilt station. She visited the room where Sarah had died. There was a plaque on the wall now. It had Sarah's final words, "Please, choose peace." Emma touched the plaque gently. "We are choosing peace," she whispered. "Every day we are choosing peace." An older man approached her. He was wearing the uniform of a human peacekeeping corps captain. His name tag said, "Williams?" "You are Lieutenant Rodriguez," he said. "I have read your reports. Good work on the Klaxon methane dispute. Thank you, sir, Emma replied. Captain Williams looked at the plaque on the wall. I knew Sarah Chun. We served together for 5 years. She was the best peacekeeper I ever met. What was she like? Emma asked. Patient, Captain Williams said. Incredibly patient. She could sit in a room with the angriest, most violent beings in the galaxy and somehow make them want to talk instead of fight. He turned to look at Emma. But she was also strong. Stronger than most people realized. She never backed down from doing what was right, even when it was dangerous. Emma nodded. I want to be like her. I want to make the kind of peace she made. Captain Williams smiled. You already are. The peace you made between the Klaxons and the Methane Collective will last for generations. Children who have not even been born yet will benefit from the work you did. Over the next few days, Emma met many other peacekeepers at the memorial gathering. She heard stories about the work they were doing across the galaxy, wars that had been stopped before they started, trade disputes resolved in hours instead of years, ancient enemies learning to work together. She also met some of the aliens who worked with human peacekeepers. They all spoke with respect about humanity's new role in galactic affairs. Ambassador Thek of the Hegemony of Scales told her, before the change, my people fought the crystal communes for 300 years. Now we are building joint research stations together. The humans helped us see that cooperation is better than conquest. Delegate Prime of the Trade Syndicate explained, human oversight has made our business more profitable than ever. When conflicts are resolved quickly, trade flows smoothly. Everyone benefits. Even a former Zelphic officer, now working for the new Democratic Zelphic Federation, spoke positively. The humans destroyed our empire, but they gave us something better. They gave us peace with our neighbors and freedom from tyrants like Korthek. Emma listened to all these stories and felt proud of what humanity had accomplished. But she also felt the weight of responsibility. The galaxy was counting on human peacekeepers to maintain this new era of peace. On her last day at Harmony Point, Emma received her next assignment. She was being sent to the Andromeda border, where 2 minor species were having problems with space pirates. It was a dangerous assignment, but Emma was ready for it. Before she left, she visited Sarah Chun's memorial one more time. The statue looked peaceful in the soft light of the station's artificial sunset. Sarah's expression was calm and hopeful, just like the real Sarah had been. I will not let you down, Emma promised the statue. I will carry on your work. I will choose peace, just like you did. As Emma's ship left Harmony Point, she looked back at the station through her window. It was beautiful against the stars, a symbol of humanity's commitment to peace. But more than that, it was a promise that no peacekeeper would ever again die alone and unprotected. The galaxy had learned its lesson. The hard way, but thoroughly. Human peacekeepers were now respected and protected wherever they went. Not because people loved humans, but because people understood the consequences of harming them. Emma's ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying her toward her next assignment, toward another conflict that needed to be resolved, toward another chance to make peace in a galaxy that had finally learned to want peace. Behind her, Harmony Point continued its orbit around the star where Sarah Chun had died. The station served as both a memorial and a warning, a reminder that some lines should never be crossed, and some people should never be harmed. In his prison cell on Redemption Colony, War Prince Korthek was learning to mediate disputes between other prisoners. It was part of his rehabilitation program. He was getting good at it. Sometimes he even helped beings reach agreements that seemed impossible. His human supervisors said he was making progress. They said that maybe someday he could help make peace in the galaxy instead of destroying it. Korthek was not sure he deserved that chance, but he was grateful for it. Across the galaxy on thousands of worlds and stations, human peacekeepers were doing the work that Sarah Chun had died trying to do. They were making peace one conflict at a time. They were showing beings that cooperation was better than conquest, that talking was better than fighting, that peace was better than war. The galaxy was not perfect. There were still problems and disputes and disagreements. But now those problems were solved with words instead of weapons. Now disputes became negotiations instead of wars. Now disagreements led to compromises instead of conquests. Commander Sarah Chun had died asking for peace. Her final words had been a plea for beings to choose peace over violence. Now, finally, the galaxy was listening to her. Not because they wanted to, but because they had learned what happened when they did. Not the age of endless war was over. The age of enforced peace had begun, and it had all started with one woman who believed that peace was possible. Even when everyone else thought it was not. Sarah Chun had been right about peace being possible. She had just been wrong about how long it would take and what it would cost to achieve it, but in the end, her sacrifice had been worth it. Peace had come to the galaxy at last, even if it had come at the point of 200,000 human warships.